So we're going to talk about the communication log. The Department of Real Estate, if they are going to audit your file, our file, then they are going to ask you for a log of all communication in that transaction. This would include things like emails and texts. The system that we use, Skyslope, has a log in it, and each transaction has its own email address. What I recommend as a best practice is when you're early on in your transaction, the Skyslope gives you that email address. Save that email address as a contact in your phone's contacts. And if you're sending an email off from your phone to someone in that transaction, it makes it a lot easier for you to just start typing, okay, I'm sending it, this email to John, but I'm also going to add, 123 Main Street, and it's going to fill out this email address that's specific for your transaction. And now that email is logged. 99 point something percent of the time, you will never need that log. However, if you are required to produce it, if you are audited at some point, so it is expected that the communication is a part of your transaction file if you get audited. This Skyslope's tool, I think, is a useful one. There are also, for your text messages, a lot of tools you can look in the App Store. The specific tool doesn't necessarily matter, but where you can either take screenshots and email screenshots of your text with the client and agent, I should say, and lender. So your communication with all parties in a transaction is a part of this transaction log that hopefully you've been diligent as how you're handling yourself and your communication in the transaction. And all of this documentation would just be to support you if there is someone making some claim against you later on, either some regulatory claim like from the Department of Real Estate or who knows what else that might come up after the fact. So you want to be able to document all that. If you don't want to do the screenshot thing, there's a handful of different apps that you can find in both the Google Play Store and the Apple Store for basically producing a log of your text messages that you can provide. So that's just a technical requirement that these items need to be in your file. That being said, I think agents will often forget because we're working with our clients at such a personal moment in their life. And a lot of times we have personal relationships with the clients that go well beyond just the real estate transaction. A lot of times you'll talk about things that maybe you wouldn't have talked about it over text had you known this was going to end up in a transaction file, or had you known that this file might be being looked at by a small claims court judge or a superior court judge because of some dispute that arose later on. It's just a good rule of thumb that not to say anything over email or text unless you would be comfortable with either a judge reading that message that you sent back or seeing it on the top of your news feed for everyone else to see. So if you're not comfortable with that level of visibility on what you're doing here as a professional in a transaction, then don't say it, or find another way to say it, or take a minute to cool off if you're heated about whatever it is before you hit send on those types of messages. With that, that's what's required as a part of your log, and then knowing that that has to go as a part of your log, be mindful about just how you conduct yourself in writing in both email and text. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. If you learned something or if this helped you solve a problem, follow me for more.